Welcome to the Learn with Sandra Show channel, your ultimate academic guide. My name is Alexandra, and in today's video, we're going to continue with the JAMB CBT past question for the subject Literature in English year 2023, and we're going to be tackling question 25 to 44. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Question 25. So a trilogy is the dash. The answer to this question is option C. A trilogy is a sequence of 3 plays written by the same author. Now, a trilogy is a set of 3 plays. Okay, it could be novel, it could be film, it could be just any literary work. Okay, written by the same author. Now, typically they are separate works. What do I mean by this? Each has its, storyline or script. Okay, but they are connected in a way. And what do I mean by this? They explore the same theme, they explore the same character. So an example of a trilogy is Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, Arrow of God, and No Longer at Ease. The answer to this question is option C, sequence of 3 plays written by the same author. Dramatis Personae is a play. Play refers to dash. The answer to this question is list of characters. Okay, Dramatis Personae is a Latin term that means persons of the play. Persons of the play, and it means list of characters. Okay, and if you want to give it a fuller definition, you can go ahead and say list of characters and the roles or relationship with each other, or the relationship within a play. It is quite different from cast list or cast. Cast is what you see, after you watch a film or a movie, and then at the end of the old movie you see cast, which is the list of actors that have taken roles in the play. For example, from Akindele, you see Toyi Abraham and all of that. So that's cast. It's quite different from Dramatis Personae. Okay. For example, this is Lion and the Dragon by Wole Soyinka. It's a recommended text for 2023 candidates. Okay, and example is Lakunle. Lakunle is the village school teacher. So you can see the name of the character and the relationship within the play. You see CD, the village bell of Ilujile. You see Baroka is another character, the ballet of Ilujile. We see Sadikul, Baroka's first wife. So this is a list of characters, and it's called Dramatis Personae. Okay, so just for the record, also persona is the plural, and persona is the singular. Okay, so this is the plural form. Okay, so just note that persona and personae. Okay, they're two different pronunciation. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B, list of characters. Question 27. She swallowed it all just like a nasty pill. The literary device employed here is dash. The answer, this question is based on second class citizen, but actually you don't need the text to solve this question, because it only requires knowledge of figure of speech, right? So alliteration is the repetition of same consonant sound. Metaphor is same consonant, okay, sound. Metaphor is comparing two things, all right, by saying one thing is another. Simile is comparing two things but with the use of like or as. Apostrophe is when a speaker addresses a person, an entity, an abstract idea as though it is present, right? So the answer to this question is definitely option C, simile, because she swallowed it all just like. So there's a comparison here with the use of like. So the answer to this question is option C, simile. Question 28. So the imagery in the excerpt above is largely dashed. Now, imagery basically relies on description that appeals to the senses. Now, what are our major senses? Sense of touch, sense of smell, sense of sight, sense of hearing, sense of taste, right? So let's take a look at each of the options, the specific senses that have been used in the options. Let's understand the meaning. So we have olfactory. Olfactory is sense of smell, visual, sense of sight, auditory, sense of hearing, visual, okay, tactile, sense of touch. So now that we understand the specific or the unique senses that have been used in the option, let's attack the excerpt. Okay, so my heart is a quiet drum. Quiet drum appeals to what sense? Hearing. Sometimes it flares, sight, like a patched thunder cracking, sense of hearing, thunder cracking. Okay, through a damask sky, it lifts me, sight, in its fired spectacles, sight. Okay, so we can see that option B is the final answer to this question because it is auditory and visual, sense of hearing and sense of sight. So option B is the final answer to this question. Question 29. In the passage above, the speaker can be described as dash. Okay, so she wanted to split herself, but she checks herself. Get dressed, she said earnestly. She dressed, get dressed and let's go. You know I have a lot of things to do, and if we are going to meet again like this, she slapped the bed. Then it won't be here, it will be at the Samson and Delilah's. Now we see that we hear the commanding tone, the speaker's commanding tone, and this person seems like a very decisive person. She knows what to do next. She knows the next step to take. As she tells the person, she instructs the other person to get dressed and let's go, and then she moves the meeting location to Samson and Delilah. So this shows a strong personality, an authoritative personality, and this is domineering. Okay, it's a domineering nature. Okay, so option B is the best answer to this question. When we speak of treasurers, treasurers is someone that is deceitful. Okay, so it's not it at all. So option B is the final answer to this question. Question 30. So this question is based on the lion and the jewel. The indication that Shoinka's the lion and the jewel is culturally set is its use of dash. The answer to this question is dance and songs. Okay, so Wole Soyinka incorporated songs and dance in his play, and we know that songs and dance is a huge part of African tradition, you know, traditional African drama specifically. Okay, so it is Wole Soyinka uses that a lot in his text. Okay, and when we speak of flashback, flashback is bringing the past to the present. When we speak of foreshadowing, it's basically dropping clues of what might happen. By irony is saying the opposite of what you mean. The answer to this question when it comes to cultural context, right, of the play is option A, dance and song. So when you go to the text from page 13, you see the dancing and the songs. Okay, that is where it started in page 19. Okay, so it's a lot in this text. In fact, it got to a point I was like, this dancing and miming is too much. So the answer to this question is option A, dance and songs. Question 31. So this question is based on the leader and the led. The hyena says the crown is made for him. In the above excerpt, the use of the word crown is a good deployment of dash. Now the answer to this question is synecdoche. Now synecdoche is a figure of speech in which a part is used to represent a whole. Now what's the part here? The part is the crown, and the crown is, you know, the object that a king or a ruler wears, and it symbolizes authority and leadership, right? And this is the whole that it represents. Okay, it symbolizes authority and leadership. Now when we speak of oxymoron, oxymoron is placing side by side two contradictory words, and that does not fit in this context, right? When we speak of imagery, imagery is the vivid description that appeals to the senses. Now there's a tiny bit of imagery here with the crown symbolizing leadership and authority, but imagery is a, you know, full description. It's a detailed description that appeals to the senses, and so the focus here is more on what the word crown symbolizes rather than creating a sensory impression. Okay, so option C, personification. Personification, yes, there's attribute of personification here. When we speak of personification is when human qualities are given to inanimate objects or animals, right? And we see the hyena says the crown is made for him, so it has the attribute of personification. But then the question says that the word crown, okay, so it emphasizes the use of the word crown. It's a good deployment of dash. So in this context, because it is just crown we are looking at in this context, the best answer is synecdoche. Okay, so it's very important for us to, you know, understand what the question demands and the interpretation of each of the figure of speech so that we don't mix things up. Okay, so the answer to this question is option D, synecdoche. Question 32. So the exclusive right given to authors to protect their works from unlawful production is dash. The answer to this question is option B, a copyright. So a copyright is the exclusive right given to authors to protect them, to protect their work. Okay, so this protection basically helps to prevent, you know, people from just copying their work, you know, producing their work without the author's authorization. So the answer to this question is option B, a copyright. Question 33. So the narrative style in which the hero tells his own story directly is the dash. The answer to this question is the first person. So the first person narrative style is one in which the protagonist or a character in a story, within a story, tells or give an account of the story from his or her own perspective with the use of the pronoun I, me, right? First person pronoun, basically. Okay. So let me give an example. Okay. So let me get into character on behalf of everyone and then give an example. Okay. So say we are reading a book, right? A story, and it goes like this. I could feel my heart pounding as I stepped onto the stage. The spotlight blinded me for a moment, and I could hear the crowd screaming, "Go, Alex!" Okay. And I whispered to myself, "This is your moment." Okay, as I grabbed the mic as though my life depended on it. Okay, so you can see the use of I, me, my. So these are examples of first person pronouns. So you understand the story, you're enjoying the story basically from that character's perspective. Now, if it's a third person narrative style, you get something like this, or you read something like this. She could feel her heart pounding as she stepped onto the stage. The spotlight blindfolded her for minutes, blah, blah, blah. She held onto the mic as though her life depended on it. So you see she, her, he, him. So these are examples of third person. So you can see that with the first person, you get to enjoy the story directly. You see the perspective directly from the person's point of view. So the answer to this question is option B, first person. Question 34. Lineation refers to dash. The answer to this question is option A, the arrangement of lines in verse form. Now, when we speak of lineation, lineation is the arrangement of lines in poetry, the arrangement of lines in a structural and organized manner. So, have you ever picked up a poem and you realize that line 2 is a continuation of line 1? Sometimes you read some poem and you realize that just one line, say line 4, is meaningful, is complete on its own, and you don't need to read line 3, 2, or 1 to make sense of line 4. Okay, so this tells us that there are techniques in writing your lines, there are techniques in making your lines in poetry, there are techniques also in breaking your lines. Okay, so this process involves lineation. Okay, so option A is the final answer to this question. Question 35. The subject matter of a literary work is the dash. The answer to this question is option A, theme. When we speak of theme, theme is the underlying message, the central idea. Sometimes it is referred to as the main topic. Now, when we speak of plot, plot is the arrangement of events that make up the entire story or the main story. When we speak of structure, according to literary work, it's the framework of a narrative. How plots combine with other elements and how they are put together or arranged in a presentable way, how it is presented to the audience, basically. Now, when we speak of settings, settings is the place and time where the events occur. Okay, so the answer to this question is no doubt option A, theme. Question 36. A structural arrangement of units of composition by which one element of equal importance with another is similarly placed is called dash. The answer to this question is parallelism. Now, let me explain this. Parallelism is when two or more parts that make up a sentence have similar structure and then they show equal importance. For example, I came, I saw, I conquered. These are three parts making up the sentence. Now, they have similar structure in the sense that I came, subject verb, I saw, subject verb, I conquered, subject verb. Now, they show equal importance means that they all happen, they are all important in that expression. So you can't do without one part. Okay, so this is just one example. There are other examples: easy come, easy go. Okay, there's this popular one like father like son, some say like mother like daughter. Okay, so these are common expressions that we use on a day-to-day basis. It's just that we might not be fully aware of the concepts behind some of those figurative expressions that we use. Okay, so the answer to this question is option D, parallelism. Question 37. So this question is based on Cage Bird by Maya. Okay, so for the Cage Bird sings of freedom, the poetic device used in this expression is dash. The answer to this question is paradox. So what then is paradox? So paradox is a contradictory statement, but then on a closer look at it, it reveals a deeper truth, a deeper meaning. So what is the contradictory element in this expression? And that is imprisonment and freedom. They are coexisting in an expression. Okay, so there are two incompatible states in this expression. Okay, and so what is the deeper meaning? What is the deeper truth? So it implies that your physical state, what is happening around you physically, can be a lot different from what is in your mind and what is in your spirit. Okay, so when we speak of metaphor, metaphor is the comparison between two things with the use of like, right? When we speak of irony, irony is saying the opposite of what you mean. But then there's something called situational irony. It's a type of irony, and that is when there's a discrepancy between what is expected and what actually happens. Okay, so it can be implied that the situational irony in this expression is a caged bird who sings of freedom. A caged bird should be mourning, should be sorrowful and sad, but then it's singing of freedom, right? Okay, but then I want to point that the essence of this expression, like the concentration, should be on the contradictory nature of the expression, yet the coexistence, the truthful coexistence of a bird in captivity who is yearning and longing for its own freedom. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option D, paradox. Question 38. So the literary device used in the passage above is dash. So the best answer to this question is option B, parallelism. And when we are looking out for parallelism, we are looking out for similar structural units. And parallelism is not, limited to sentences alone. Okay, it could be an entire paragraph. Okay, so in this case, will college make you dash? Will it make you dash? Okay, so parallelism is used to create that rhythmic effect in a text. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option B, parallelism. Question 39. To fly flags of joy, two figures of speech used here are dash. Okay, so fly flags, we see alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of initial consonant sounds. So what consonant sound is used there? So is in the word fly and is in the word flags. So flags of joy is metaphor. Metaphor is a figure of speech that uses direct comparison without the use of like or as. Okay, so the answer to this question is option C, metaphor and alliteration. Okay, so flags of joy, when you mount a flag, there's this free movement, it flutters freely. Okay, and it is compared with happiness that flows freely also, right? Okay, so there are other examples that uses similar structure. So this is a free tip. Okay, consider this a free tip. For example, out of stone, we are mountain of works, we have web of lies, ray of hope, flood of emotions. So these are examples of metaphor. Okay, these are examples of metaphor. So for example, mountain of works, you are comparing the large amount of work you have to do with the difficulty that you encounter when you want to climb a mountain. Okay, so that's the comparison there. Okay, so the answer to this question is no doubt option C, metaphor and alliteration. Question 40. Now use the excerpt to answer this question. So the theme of this excerpt is dash. So the answer to this question is option B, the oppression of women. Now let's look at the excerpt. Okay, so fallen means sad, right? Then when you go to line 3, plow means struggle. For memories of lyrics lost in the vast void of time, in those days when a song beheld their lives, when servitude cuffed the ankles of their soul. Servitude, slavery, right? And dereliction means abandoned or neglected. Decapitated means cut off, the epic of their lives. So the theme of the excerpt is the oppression of women. Now, we know that when we speak of colonization, it also implies oppression. So how do we know that it is the oppression of women and not colonization? From the title. The title references women directly. The song of the women of our land, of my land rather. Okay, so this tells us that the subject talks about the experience and the lives of the women. Okay, so the answer to this question is option B, the oppression of women. Question 41. So the master in the passage above is obviously in a state of dash. The answer to this question is trance. Now how do we know this? From the excerpt, we see that the old servant found his master eyes wide open, floating, and on first sight he thought he had drowned, but he knew that this was one of the ways his master meditated. I mean, the word meditated, it takes us straight to trance, because meditation is one of the ways you induce trance. Okay, and trance is a deep focus state where you are deeply relaxed, but then you are aware of your surroundings in a different way. Okay, so the answer to this question is option A, trance. A metrical pause occurring in the middle of a line in a poem is called dash? The best answer to this question is caesura. Option C is the best answer. Caesura is a pause or a break within a line of a poem. Okay, so caesura is usually used to create a dramatic effect, okay, and it is often marked by punctuations. Sometimes it is the break in the line of a poem. Sometimes it's just a natural rhythm or natural grammatical expressions with the use of and. And creates that pause or break in your expression. And so that is caesura. Okay. So when we speak of tetrameter, tetrameter is a line with 4 metrical feet. When we speak of rhythm, rhythm is the pattern of stressed and unstressed syllable. When we speak of assonance, assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds that are nearby. Okay, so caesura is usually represented by symbol. Okay, and this is an example of a poem. Okay, an example of a poem, as you can see caesura in the poem marking or showing that there's a pause or a break within that line. Okay? So in the original text, you don't see that symbol. It is when you're trying to do poetic analysis or interpretation of a poem that you use to show that, okay, caesura was used here or caesura effect is in this line. Okay, so the best answer to this question is option C, caesura. Question 43. So the dominant figure of speech in the above passage is dash. The best answer is alliteration. Alliteration is a repetition of initial consonant sound. What do we mean by initial? Initial is the first sound that begins a word, and the words have to be close by, close proximity. Okay. So for example, line 1, the fair breeze blew, but sound, right? The consonant sound. Line 2, the white foam flew. Okay, line 3, the furrow followed free sound. Okay, in line 5, into that silent sea. Okay, that's the consonant sound. When we speak of repetition, repetition is repeating words multiple times. And there's element of that, but then it's not dominant with the word the, but it's not dominant. Okay, paradox is a contradictory statement, but then on a closer look at it, it reveals a deeper meaning. Rhyme scheme is the rhythmic pattern at the end of each line of a poem. So the best answer, because it is dominant, is option B, alliteration. Question 44. So the tone of the poet is dash. The answer to this question is optimistic. Now when you take a look at the excerpt, these early tears dripping down the tears on your depressed face will one day be staunched. Staunched means stop. Okay, and you can see that the poet is being hopeful, being positive about the future outcome. That though you are depressed, though you're sad now, right? Though you are in a lot of pain and all of that, but one day it will stop. Okay, so optimistic is the best answer to this question. Option B is the final answer to this question. So we've come to the end of this video lesson. I'm sure you've learned a lot. So do not forget to give me a like and also click on the subscribe button to get notified once I release the next video. Do not forget that if you have better explanation or solution to any of these questions, please feel free to share in the comments below. Thank you for staying tuned till I see you in the next video. Bye.